CD Projekt Red. This is a game company and studio that's done quite well for itself. I mean, they had some rough tidings when they were making Witcher 1 and 2, but after the success of those games and with Witcher 3 really skyrocketing them up towards the upper echelon of AAA games, I mean, these guys have just been on a roll. And now they have more fortunate tidings coming their way due to the success of Netflix's Season 1 of The Witcher show, which is an adaptation of the novels more than the games. But it all kind of synergizes together. The books have done better, the games have done better, and then the popularity of the games caused the Netflix show to perform better. So all around, the Witcher IP is doing seriously well, and it's also boosted CD Projekt as a company. So let's talk about all of that. First of all, here's a story from back in January 2020 indicating that The Witcher is tracking to be Netflix's most viewed first season. As reported by IGN, quote, through its first 4 weeks of release, 76 million member households chose to watch this action-packed fantasy starring Henry Cavill, Netflix said in its Q4 earnings report. Netflix also cited how the premiere of The Witcher drove up the sales of The Witcher books and games around the world and spawned a viral musical hit, referring of course to toss a coin to your Witcher. Now it should be noted that Netflix recently changed how they count a view, whereas before somebody had to watch 70% of one episode or film. Now people only have to watch the first 2 minutes of a title on Netflix. So that parameter change probably boosted the numbers for The Witcher on Netflix, whereas previous shows had to use the old parameter that required people to watch 70% of the show. The numbers may be skewed in that sense, but still 76 million people choosing to intentionally give Witcher a chance for at least 2 minutes. That's a big deal. Even if we take a percentage of 76 million who might have stuck around for the whole show, that's a huge number. The fact remains that The Witcher on Netflix proved to be really popular, probably more so than Netflix expected, and that also boosted the games. And I previously talked about how The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt has been setting records in terms of concurrent players. The highest record prior to recent months was back in May 2015 when Witcher 3 first launched. During that month, the highest number of concurrent players had peaked at 92,000, but that record was broken after the Netflix show came out, and the all-time peak then became 103,000. This is unprecedented for a single-player game, and it goes to show how special this game is, how much word of mouth has spread about the merits of this game and the Witcher IP as a whole. So this was pretty cool to see, honestly. The game absolutely deserves a resurgence like this. It's just such a great game. As for how all of this translates in terms of sales, well, this was something that CD Projekt explained via their official Twitter account when they posted this. The accumulated revenue from sales of The Witcher 3 on Steam platform for the period of time between October 1st, 2018 and today, which is February 20th, 2020, has exceeded $50 million US. As a result, we are now getting 80% on any subsequent sales of The Witcher 3 on Steam. Thank you all for your support. And what they mean by the 80% revenue on any subsequent sales of Witcher 3 on Steam, well, keep in mind that Steam's revenue cut policy is that if you make under $10 million with your game, then you get 70% of sales and Steam gets 30%. But if you surpass $10 million in revenue, then you start getting 75% of sales, and then passing 50 million will result in you starting to get 80% of that revenue cut of all future sales. And now that Witcher 3 has surpassed that 50 million landmark with Witcher 3 within that time period, subsequent sales will result in 80% revenue cut. It means more money for the developers, for the company that made the game, and of course, if you buy the game on GOG, given that GOG is owned by CD Projekt, buying Witcher 3 or any CD Projekt game on that platform will yield 100% of revenue for CD Projekt. Further detailing the success of the Witcher IP as a whole as a result of the success of Witcher on Netflix is this blog post from NPD, which keeps track of US physical sales, which provides more insight into how well the Netflix show performed and how that's affected sales for the books and the games. So right here it talks about how Witcher on Netflix premiered on December 20th, 2019, and within the first week of launch, 19 million US Netflix profiles watched the show's first episode for at least 2 minutes. So that's the new metric that Netflix is using. But more impressively, The Witcher's completion rate during that week was positive. 75% of viewers who started the first episode watched at least 90% of it. So plenty of people stuck around for at least the first episode. And then I'm sure that as the episodes went along, some people might have drifted off the show, and so they haven't revealed how many people have finished the show in its entirety, but this is still really strong performance. And we also know, based on more recent news, that in the first 4 weeks, the show managed to accrue 76 million members who watched the first episode. So this is a show that's just continued to grow over the weeks. It hasn't petered out, which is fantastic. The blog post also notes that audience reception has been pretty damn positive, with a 92% user rating on Rotten Tomatoes. And then as far as books go, sales for that have been increased by a huge amount. It reads right here, during the 2 weeks following The Witcher's premiere on Netflix, USA physical book revenue was 562% higher than the same period in 2018. This also led to The Witcher books being at the top of Amazon charts when it comes to best-selling books on that storefront. So yeah, just a huge surge of interest and curiosity for the novels. I myself have been audiobooking The Witcher novels, and it's been great so far, but yeah, 562% increase. That's damn significant. And then finally, for games, it reads right here that Witcher 3 Wild Hunt released back in May 2015, and in June 2019, it was reported by CD Projekt that the game had sold over 20 million units worldwide, which is amazing. And then the Nintendo Switch port that came out on October 2019 helped boost the sales, and that's what allowed the physical sales for the game to be at 554% higher than they were back in December 2018. So even Witcher 3, the game, managed to boost its sales by over 500% compared to last year in the same time period. And that is largely in part because of Witcher 3 on Switch, but even excluding the Switch platform, according to NPD, there was still a 63% increase in Witcher 3 sales. And keep in mind that NPD only takes into account physical sales. And the fact that even without the Switch version, Witcher 3 saw 63% higher revenue suggests that even on PS4 and Xbox One, a lot of people decided to buy Witcher 3 for those platforms. And with Witcher 3 also coming to Game Pass, that further incentivized people to play this game. So suffice to say that plenty of people decided, you know what, let's play some Witcher 3, or let's replay some Witcher 3. And the Steam stats alone, which peaked at 100,000 throughout January 2020, that alone speaks volumes about how well this game performed within that time period and just how much money it ended up making. And the end result is that CD Projekt as a company has seen a huge boost in value. Here's a report from GameSpot, and the headline for this article reads, The Witcher and Cyberpunk 2077 dev is now Europe's second largest video game company. The Polish studio trails only Ubisoft. Just think about that for a minute. Ubisoft is a company that engages in mobile games, microtransactions, annual release of these big IPs, whereas CD Projekt Red has only released a handful of high-quality games, as well as their GOG digital PC storefront. Their endeavors aren't nearly as high quantity as it is with Ubisoft, so for CD Projekt Red to be valued only second to Ubisoft, for them to be even close to that, is pretty significant. It reads right here, CD Projekt's market valuation climbed to $8 billion this week, surging up from its previous valuation of $6.8 billion just a month ago. And then Ubisoft has a current market value of $9.6 billion, so $8 billion is not that far behind. Now, it was noted by GameSpot that these values often fluctuate on a day-to-day basis. That's just the nature of stock, so we might see those numbers fluctuate, CD Projekt rise or fall, and same with Ubisoft. But with the success of the Witcher IP as a whole, with the games especially seeing such a resurgence, it's not surprising to me that investors decided to put some money into CD Projekt Red. And then it's noted right here, the $8 billion market cap for CD Projekt refers to the total value of all the company's shares of stock, representing the value placed on the company should it be sold. So that's what $8 billion represents. It's pretty crazy to see how far this company has come along since its inception with Witcher 1. It's crazy that they've managed to get this far without resorting to shady monetization schemes. I mean, they got microtransactions in the free-to-play Gwent, but many will agree that the microtransactions there don't feel egregious at all, at least not compared to many other, microtransaction schemes out there, and it is a free-to-play title, so monetization is somewhat justified with a game like that. But when it comes to the core titles like Witcher and Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red has maintained a semblance of integrity rather than creating these games with monetization at the forefront of their intent without that greedy mindset seeping in. I mean, obviously they want to make money off of these games, but it really does seem like they care about their games, about the community, and about delivering just the best product possible, rather than about coming up with ways to gouge and nickel and dime players. CD Projekt could have easily resorted to those shady monetization schemes, resorted to the easy way of making money, but instead they've hunkered down and decided that delivering the best games possible, taking their time with these games, and respecting their customers and their community and garnering goodwill, that's the best way to do business, and it's done wonders for them. It all goes to show that you don't have to be an EA or a Ubisoft or a Take-Two or an Activision or more recently a Bethesda to make money and to be viable as a video game company business. You can do business, you can thrive in the games industry by just making good games. It's something that I feel like is being more and more forgotten, especially in the AAA sector. So for me, it's good to see that CD Projekt Red is kind of going against that trend and proving that quality and communication and goodwill, all of these different factors can lead to success on this level. And this is just the beginning. Keep in mind that Cyberpunk 2077 hasn't launched yet. It's coming out later this year. Pre-orders are already higher than they were for Witcher 3. The hype surrounding this game is palpable. And yeah, CD Projekt Red's gonna make quite a bit of money through the sales of Cyberpunk 2077, and no doubt CD Projekt's market value is going to grow even further, and hell, they might even surpass Ubisoft in terms of company value in Europe. Anyway, this is where we're at with CD Projekt and the Witcher franchise, just all around a huge boon, and I cannot wait to see where all of this continues to grow. I cannot wait for Witcher Season 2. CD Projekt Red has expressed interest in revisiting the Witcher IP on a AAA level, so we'll see where that goes. And the books are doing really well, and I cannot wait to continue diving into those. And I hope that CD Projekt continues to grow as a company and continues to keep that creative fire and ambition alive to bring us these incredible experiences. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the recent success of the Witcher franchise as a whole and CD Projekt Red as a company. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out!